A devoted mother, 3 pregnant daughters, and none of them knew how it happened. When the truth finally came out, it shattered everything. This isn't just a story, it's a nightmare hiding in plain sight. And if you scroll past without subscribing, you're turning your back on a family that fought for justice when no one else would. Before we continue, if you're new here or haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share this video. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to keep creating more amazing content like this. Let's continue. In the heart of Riverside County, California, stood a small weathered house that had seen better days. The paint was peeling, the front yard overgrown, but inside lived a family that the neighbors thought they knew. What happened within those walls would shock an entire community and prove that sometimes the greatest dangers lurk closest to home. This is the story of Sarah Martinez, a 45-year-old widow who had been raising 6 daughters and 1 stepson after losing 2 husbands to tragedy. Sarah was known throughout the neighborhood as a hardworking woman who never complained, despite the enormous burden she carried alone. Sarah's first husband, Michael, had died in a construction accident when their son Jake was just 8 years old. Desperate to provide stability for her boy, Sarah remarried 2 years later to Robert Martinez, a kind man who welcomed Jake as his own. Together, Sarah and Robert had 6 beautiful daughters: Emma, Sophia, Isabella, Olivia, Madison, and little Chloe. But fate was cruel to Sarah. Robert died of a heart attack when the youngest was barely 5 years old, leaving Sarah to raise 7 children on her own. The life insurance money had run out years ago, and Sarah worked 3 jobs just to keep food on the table, cleaning offices at night, doing laundry for wealthy families during the day, and babysitting on weekends. Jake, now 24, still lived at home. He was Sarah's helper, her right-hand man. The girls adored their big brother, and neighbors often commented on what a close-knit family they were. Jake helped with homework, drove the girls to school when Sarah couldn't, and was fiercely protective of his sisters. "He's such a good boy," Mrs. Henderson from next door would say. "Those girls are lucky to have a brother like Jake looking out for them." If only she had known the truth. It started on a Tuesday morning in September. Emma, the eldest daughter at 19, stumbled into the kitchen, pale as a ghost. She gripped the counter, swaying slightly, before rushing to the bathroom where Sarah could hear her retching. "Honey, are you okay?" Sarah called through the door, her voice heavy with concern. "Just the flu, Mom," Emma replied weakly. "I'll be fine." But Emma wasn't fine. For weeks, she grew more tired, more pale. She stopped eating her favorite foods, claiming they made her sick. Sarah, working from dawn to dusk, noticed but attributed it to stress from community college. Then came the fainting spell at the grocery store. The paramedics were gentle but direct. "Mom, we need to take your daughter to the hospital. Her vital signs are unusual." At Riverside General Hospital, Dr. Patricia Wilson delivered news that would shatter Sarah's world. "Mrs. Martinez, your daughter is approximately 3 months pregnant." The words hit Sarah like a physical blow. She gripped the hospital chair, her knuckles white. That's impossible. Emma's never even had a serious boyfriend. She's always home, always with the family. She goes to church with us every Sunday." Dr. Wilson's expression was kind but firm. "The test is conclusive, Mrs. Martinez. Perhaps you should speak with Emma privately." In the stark hospital room, Sarah confronted her daughter. "Emma, honey, you need to tell me the truth. Who is he? When did this happen?" Emma's eyes filled with tears, her voice barely a whisper. "Mom, I swear on Grandma's grave, I don't know how this happened. I've never been with anyone. I promise you, I'm telling the truth." Sarah studied her daughter's face, the face she'd kissed goodnight thousands of times, the face she could read like a book. Emma was telling the truth. "But how?" Sarah's voice trailed off, her mind racing through impossible scenarios. 3 months later, 17-year-old Sophia began showing the same symptoms: the morning sickness, the fatigue, the strange food aversions. Sarah watched in growing horror as her second daughter went through the exact same progression. This time, Sarah didn't wait for a fainting spell. She took Sophia straight to Dr. Wilson. "Mrs. Martinez," the doctor said gently, "I'm afraid it's the same situation. Sophia is pregnant." Sarah felt the world tilting beneath her feet. How is this possible? How can this be happening to my family? That night, Sarah called her sister Maria in Arizona, sobbing into the phone. Maria, I don't understand. My girls are good girls. They're innocent. They barely leave the house except for school and church. What kind of monster? Sarah, you need to involve the police, Maria said firmly. This isn't just coincidence. Someone is doing this to your daughters. But Sarah hesitated. In her conservative Hispanic community, such things brought shame. Besides, who would believe such an impossible story? When 16-year-old Isabella started showing the same symptoms just 2 months later, Sarah knew she couldn't stay silent anymore. 3 pregnancies among her unmarried daughters who swore they'd never been intimate with anyone. This wasn't coincidence or bad luck. This was a crime. But who? The girls rarely left home. They were homeschooled after Emma graduated high school early. Their social circle was limited to church and a few family friends. The only men in their regular lives were Jake, their pastor Father Rodriguez, and their elderly neighbor Mr. Peterson. Sarah lay awake nights, her mind churning. Someone was systematically attacking her daughters, and she had no idea who or how. The thought made her physically ill. One night, after the younger girls were asleep, Sarah gathered Emma, Sophia, and Isabella in the kitchen. Girls, I need you to think, really think. Has anyone ever made you uncomfortable? Any strange dreams where you felt different when you woke up? Isabella spoke up hesitantly. Mom, there have been some nights where I felt really strange in the morning, like really tired, and sometimes my clothes were different than how I remembered putting them on. Emma and Sophia exchanged glances. Me too, Emma admitted. I thought I was just sleeping restlessly, but Sarah's blood ran cold. How often? Every few weeks, maybe, Sophia said. We never thought much of it. That night, Sarah made a decision that would change everything. She was going to catch the monster destroying her family. Judge Robert Harrison had been presiding over Riverside County Superior Court for 15 years. He'd seen every kind of crime, every sort of human depravity. But when Sarah Martinez walked into his chambers that Wednesday morning, something about her case struck him differently. Sarah had requested a private meeting, claiming her case was too sensitive for public court. She sat across from Judge Harrison, her hands trembling as she spoke. Your Honor, someone is assaulting my daughters in their own home, and I don't know who or how. Judge Harrison leaned forward. Mrs. Martinez, have you gone to the police? I tried, Sarah said, her voice breaking. But they don't believe me. 3 of my daughters are pregnant, and they swear they've never been with anyone. The detective said teenagers lie, that I should stop covering for them. Sarah told the judge everything, the impossible pregnancies, the strange, sleepy mornings, the fact that her daughters rarely left home. Your Honor, I raised these girls. I know when they're lying, they're telling the truth. Judge Harrison was quiet for a long moment. Mrs. Martinez, what you're describing sounds like someone is drugging your daughters and assaulting them while they're unconscious. But how? Who? The only people in our house are family. That's what we need to find out, the judge said grimly. I'm going to help you. This is no longer just a family matter. This is about justice. That evening, Detective Lisa Chen knocked on Sarah's door. Judge Harrison had personally called the police department, demanding they take Sarah's case seriously. Mrs. Martinez, we're going to set up surveillance around your house, Detective Chen explained. We'll have officers watching all night. If someone is entering your home without your knowledge, we'll catch them. They also provided Sarah with a small security camera to hide in the hallway. Point this toward the girls' rooms, Detective Chen instructed. If someone is moving around the house at night, we'll have evidence. That night, Sarah barely slept. Every creak of the house made her heart race. Were her daughters safe? Would tonight be the night they caught the monster? Around 2 a.m., her phone buzzed. A text from Detective Chen. Movement detected on the roof. Stay in your room and stay quiet. Sarah's heart pounded as she heard soft footsteps above her bedroom. Someone was definitely on the roof. But who? And how were they getting up there? Then she heard it. The soft sound of someone entering through the upstairs bathroom window. The window that was always locked. the window that could only be accessed from the roof. Minutes felt like hours. Then suddenly, shouts erupted outside. "Police, stop, don't move!" Sarah heard running, scuffling, and then silence. Her phone rang. "Mrs. Martinez, this is Detective Chen. We got him. You need to come to the station." Before we continue, if you've made it this far and haven't subscribed yet, why not? We pour our heart into every video, and your one click means more than you know. Subscribe and share. It's the fuel that keeps us going. Let's continue. At the police station, Sarah sat in an interview room, her hands shaking as Detective Chen placed a file in front of her. "Mrs. Martinez, I need to prepare you. The person we arrested, it might be difficult to accept." "Just tell me," Sarah whispered. Detective Chen opened the file, revealing a mugshot that made Sarah gasp and cover her mouth in horror. It was Jake, her stepson, the boy she'd raised as her own, the young man her daughters trusted completely. "No," Sarah whispered. "No, this is a mistake. Jake would never. He loves his sisters. Mrs. Martinez, we found sedatives in his room, the same type that showed up in your daughter's blood tests. He's confessed to everything." The interrogation room felt like it was spinning. This can't be real. Jake's a good boy. He helps with everything. He protects the girls. Detective Chen's voice was gentle but firm. "Ma'am, predators often target those closest to them because they have access and trust. Jake had both." Through the one-way mirror, Sarah could see Jake in another room, handcuffed, head hanging low. The boy she'd tucked into bed, whose scraped knees she'd bandaged, whose high school graduation she'd attended with pride. "How?" Sarah asked, her voice barely audible. In the interrogation room, Jake's confession unfolded like a nightmare Sarah couldn't wake up from. "I didn't mean for it to start this way," Jake said, his voice monotone. "After Mom remarried and the girls started growing up, I began to notice them differently. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't help myself." Detective Chen pressed him for details. "How did you access their rooms without being detected?" "There's a maintenance ladder behind the house that leads to the roof. I discovered it when I was doing repairs last year. I could climb up, access the bathroom window from outside, and enter the house." Sarah watched through the mirror, feeling sick to her stomach. "I got the sedatives online," Jake continued. "I would dissolve them in their drinks during dinner. Not enough to harm them, just enough to make them sleep deeply. Then, late at night, I would—" "Stop," Sarah said through the microphone. "I don't need to hear the details." Jake looked up at the mirror as if he could see her. "Sarah, I'm sorry. I know you won't believe me, but I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt them. I couldn't control myself." Detective Chen leaned forward. "Jake, you assaulted 3 innocent girls, your own sisters. You destroyed their lives and your family's life. Sorry doesn't begin to cover this." 6 months later, Sarah sat in the same Superior Court where she'd first sought help from Judge Harrison. This time it was packed with media, community members, and supporters. Jake sat at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit, no longer the confident young man who'd lived in their home. He'd pled guilty to multiple counts of rape, sexual assault, and drugging his victims. Judge Harrison looked at Jake with undisguised disgust. "Mr. Jake Martinez, you have committed crimes that shock the conscience of this community. You violated the trust of the family that raised you and destroyed the innocence of 3 young women who considered you their protector." The judge turned to Sarah, who sat with her 3 oldest daughters in the front row. Emma now held her baby, a little girl she'd named Hope. Sophia and Isabella were visibly pregnant. "Mrs. Martinez, I want you to know that what happened to your family will not be forgotten. Your courage in seeking justice prevented this defendant from harming your other daughters." Judge Harrison sentenced Jake to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. As Jake was led away in chains, he looked back at Sarah one last time. She met his eyes with a mixture of grief and resolve. This was the boy she'd once loved as her own son, but he was now a stranger, a predator who'd worn the mask of family. 1 year later, Sarah's story had become a catalyst for change in Riverside County. She'd started a non-profit organization called Hidden Truth, to help families dealing with sexual abuse by trusted family members. Many people ask me how I can continue after what we've been through, Sarah said during a speech at the community center. The answer is simple. My daughters are survivors, not victims. They deserve a future filled with love and trust. Emma had finished her degree and was working as a counselor for sexual assault survivors. I want other women to know they're not alone, she said. What happened to us was horrific, but it doesn't define us. Sophia had found love with a kind young man from church who accepted her completely, pregnancy and all. He sees me for who I am now, not what was done to me, she explained. Isabella was the strongest of them all, speaking at high schools about the importance of trusting your instincts and speaking up when something feels wrong. The three younger sisters, Olivia, Madison, and Chloe, were in therapy and doing well. They'd moved to a new house across town, far from the place where their trust had been shattered. Dr. Patricia Wilson, the doctor who'd first discovered the pregnancies, had followed the family's journey. The Martinez family represents the best of human resilience, she said. They took unimaginable pain and transformed it into a force for protecting others. 5 years after that first devastating hospital visit, Sarah stood in her new living room, watching her grandchildren play while Emma and Sophia prepared dinner. Isabella had just gotten engaged to her college boyfriend. The babies, once symbols of trauma, had become sources of joy. Hope, Emma's daughter, was a bright 4-year-old who called Sarah abuela and loved to paint pictures of their family. "Mum," Emma said, setting down a tray of coffee. Mrs. Chen called. She said another family called the Hidden Truth Hotline today, a situation similar to ours. Sarah nodded. "We'll help them. No family should suffer in silence like we did." The work was hard, but necessary. Sarah had learned that their experience wasn't unique, that predators often hide within families, protected by the very trust that should make homes safe. Judge Harrison, now retired, served on the board of Hidden Truth. Sarah Martinez taught our community that justice isn't just about punishment, he often said. It's about speaking truth, protecting the innocent, and ensuring that predators can't hide behind family bonds. As evening fell over their new home, Sarah gathered her family for dinner. They held hands around the table, a tradition that had survived despite everything. "What are we grateful for today?" Sarah asked, as she did every night. One by one, they shared their gratitude for safety, for each other, for the strength to survive, for the chance to help others. The house was filled with love again, but it was a different kind of love now, one tempered by hard-won wisdom, strengthened by survival, and dedicated to ensuring no other family would suffer as they had. Outside, the California sun set over Riverside County, casting long shadows across a community forever changed by one family's courage to speak the truth and demand justice, no matter how painful that truth might be. In the end, Sarah's story wasn't just about the evil that people can do to those they're supposed to protect. It was about the strength of survivors, the power of speaking truth, and the possibility of building something beautiful from the ashes of devastation. The hidden truth had been revealed, justice had been served, and hope had been restored. Evil thrives in silence, but truth and justice can heal even the deepest wounds. The Martinez family's courage reminds us that we must never stop fighting for the innocent, no matter who the predator pretends to be. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual abuse by a family member or trusted person, please know that you are not alone. Organizations like RAIN, Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network, provide confidential support 24/7 at 1-800-656-HOPE-4673. Remember, it's never the victim's fault. Speaking up is brave, and healing is possible with the right support and time. The story of the Martinez family reminds us all that justice delayed is not always justice denied, and that even in our darkest moments, the truth can set us free. If you're new here or haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share this video. And just like this story, I have another exciting story for you. Just click on the video on your screen. I'll be waiting for you.